Hi, I'm Dr. Vishion with the Center for Performance Medicine Rehabilitation. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking to Mistie Thompson from RJ Elite. That's Renee Johnson's Elite All-Star Dance Team. And we're going to be giving us some insight about the world of the All-Star Dance Team. So, looking forward to seeing her. Welcome, Mistie Thompson.
Hello.
Hey!
Hello.
Now everybody knows who my camera person is.
I'm usually behind the scenes, so this is a whole new, thing.
Well, thanks for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I know you're always behind the
Right.
camera there.
Right.
And get you out of the camera a little bit there.
Yeah, out of my comfort zone. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
And I know a lot of people are as well.
Thank you.
They want to hear
Thank
about
you.
you. So,
Thank you.
How did you get started in dance? And can you give us a little, little autobiography about yourself?
Sure.
From where you got started to all the way up to your collegiate career and all that good stuff.
Right. It is quite the story, yes. So I grew up, if you can tell by the accent that I still have, I did not grow up around these parts. I grew up in Arkansas, so I'm born and raised there in the backwoods, really backwoods of Arkansas. And so I was really kind of isolated, and really there were a lot of other kids around, and my grandmother was my babysitter. And so when I was about 3, they were really concerned that I was so shy and I didn't know how to interact with other kids. So my grandmother thought it'd be great to put me in dance, right? Because of course it's right. What do? Every little girl, right? So she drove me half an hour, because that was the nearest town with a dance studio.
Wow.
And found a way to pay for it, because we were all poor church mice, so I have no idea how she ever pulled that off, but she did. And I started taking classes, and the funny part was it did not help my shyness in the slightest, because I still did not speak to anyone in the class. I was over in the corner by myself and too shy to move. But when I got up on stage for recital, oh my goodness, I just blossomed, and they all said, "Who's that kid?" So they said, "I think this is her thing." And so we kept it up, and my grandmother made almost all my costumes.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was always there, taking me to all the classes, and she did a fabulous job of supporting me through that. And then she unexpectedly passed away when I was 12.
Oh my.
And so
when did you start dancing?
I started when I was 3.
3. Wow. Okay.
And so I got to take it until I was 12. And the really neat part about that is the last time I saw her, she dropped me off at a dance lesson. So
Wow.
it was very, it was a good God moment, I think.
Good memory there.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That was a good thing that I think he did for me. So anyway, after that, there was no money for dance lessons, so I had to stop formal training.
Okay.
And so I still kept dancing on my own, just as much as I could, just around the house, because I loved it so much and I didn't want to stop, but I just didn't have any formal way to do it. So we eventually moved to a town big enough that had a dance team, and so I got to try out, and when I was in high school, and so I was on the dance team in my junior and senior year, and then decided I was going to go to the University of Arkansas and try out for the dance team there, which is really funny to me looking back, because I'm not a brave person at all, and I don't know what in the world gave me the confidence to go and do that. But
yeah, because that's pretty hard. I mean, how many people are you talking about trying out, and how many slots are actually open? And I know that's probably different every year, depending on who's graduating or turnover or whatever.
Right, exactly, right. And let's just set aside the notion that I had full ride scholarships to several other schools that were not Arkansas, and my mother was pitching a fit.
I'm assuming academic scholarships. Right?
Yes. So
Awesome.
so that was great. But I went to Arkansas instead, and my mother was pulling her hair out. You've got to be kidding me. You don't even know if you're going to make this team, because at the time we didn't try out until the fall of our freshman year. So it was you were into classes and everything when you tried out. So
you're already committed to the school.
I'm already there.
Not knowing.
Right.
Okay.
So I walk in knowing no one, and there were 100 girls trying out, and it was a 12-person team, but they had 6 returning. So basically 6 slots for
out of 100.
Out of 100,
wow.
Whatever girls. Yeah. So, right. So I made it.
It's impressive.
I made it, and by the grace of God, thank you. And so was on it was the kind of JV team, the Lady Razorback team at the time. And then in the spring of our freshman year, you could try out for the big team, the varsity team, the one that performed at football and basketball games and everything. So again, same scenario, a bazillion and one girls. And, everyone fighting for 12 slots, and 6 of them already, maybe 8 of them at that, I don't even remember, it was a lot already taken. And so I made it there too, again, thank you, Jesus. So, made it there, and it was truly a life-changing experience. I mean, I can still remember the first time walking into Razorback Stadium for a football game, in uniform. I can picture the day, I can smell it, I can hear it. I mean, it was just an incredible experience. I think all of us who had that experience would probably tell the same story. I mean, it's, there are no other pro teams or anything in Arkansas, so the Razorbacks are it, and to be able to go and represent your state and be there and do that was a really neat thing. And so I cherish that. It was an amazing experience. I loved it so much. And from there, we went, of course, to UDA camp for classes in the summer. We'd go off to camp with everybody, and they invited me to try out for their staff. So I got to do that. And then from there, I got to travel all over. I got to go to New York and LA and London and Paris and dance in some amazing places. I mean, I've danced at Royal Albert Hall in London, and I've danced in the Macy's parade, and I've just done all sorts of amazing, incredible things. And I kept finding myself going around the world, stopping in random places like the Eiffel Tower or Versailles or Windsor Castle, and going, I can't believe I'm here because of dance. I mean, it was just for a little Arkansas girl from backwoods Arkansas to get out of the country, much less travel. It was an amazing thing. So dance absolutely changed my life. So from there,
So you want to write a book? I mean, that's a good story.
That is a good story, I guess.
Wow.
Maybe someday.
And you are a writer, right?
In my spare time.
You dabble?
Right,
Okay,
right. In my spare time.
Okay,
Yes,
so
exactly.
That's a good story.
So I went on from there. I mean, the great part about what I've done in dance and the experiences that I've had, that I've really been able to be on all sides. I mean, I was on a high school team, I was on a college team, I got to compete at college nationals, so I've competed on the nationals floor. I've gotten to be a coach and coach teams at nationals. I've gotten to be a judge. I've judged the high school and the college championship.
You
So
even had teams that won a national.
I have, yes. In the late 90s, I coached Parkway South's JV and varsity team, and Parkway South's JV team actually won the very first JV national title.
Wow.
The first year that they had that category, we won Palm, and then the next year we went back and we won Jazz, and just almost that close to winning Palm too, but we got in the second, so it was great. So yes, I have that as well. I have the white jacket. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So then after all of that and the coaching and everything, I took a break to have children and thought I was done, and got recruited back in after my girls started dancing. And Renee Johnson, who my girls dance at, Renee Johnson, she said, oh, well, you need to come teach. And I said, I'm sure I'm retired, but Renee has a way of pulling you out of retirement and talking you into and getting back out there and dancing again. Sure. And I've been there almost 10 years, which is mind-boggling. So I can't believe I've been there that long. So that was a really long answer. I'm really sorry.
No, I appreciate that.
It was,
you made it real easy for me. I didn't have to ask a lot of questions. So,
okay.
So you mentioned something in there. You said, you've had experience at the high school level, the college level, especially now, you've had some studio experience from what you were talking about, and now that you're coaching this all-star team. Mm-hmm. So if we were to break it down to, essentially studio dancing, high school dancing, and all-star team, mm-hmm. I mean, what are the likes or the dislikes? As far as what are the similarities?
Right.
What are the things that you would see? Because I know, like at some of these events, like you just did Limburg, you guys were the only all-star team that was actually there.
Right.
So I don't know if this is a new concept in this area, mm-hmm. but it's it's definitely something that I'm sure you're seeing growing. So
definitely.
Let the audience know exactly what is the difference.
Yes. What are all these teams?
Right,
and
exactly.
And right. I think I think they're becoming more similar over time, which is, I think, exciting and fun. You know, I think it's really, I think it's fun for everyone. But so basically, a studio team is a team that comes out of a studio, and they have a kind of competition weekends that they go, and they can do several regional, or they can do nationals, and there are different companies that offer their regional and national championships that they can go and do, and they compete against other studio teams. And so,
now, do they have like a national organization?
They
like
don't.
An UDA or an NDA or anything like that?
Right. There's not one specific overarching organization for them.
Okay.
So, and my two daughters dance on a studio team, so I've seen that side of it for sure for years. And then the high school dance teams, or middle school now they even have, and college dance teams. Those are teams for a specific school. So, you try out, all the girls in that school are eligible to try out, and they can go and make that high school or college team, and they usually are involved with games, football, basketball, volleyball, some other kinds of sports that they do, that they perform at and cheer for. And then a lot of times, especially around here, because we're kind of a hot spot, I think, for nationally ranked teams, then they'll all go in and compete at the national championships as well. And then, so also,
what are the? I mean, I mentioned them. Is it just UDA and NDA? Are those the only two nationals? Like
right,
nationally, I guess. Put on a national presentation, and as far as competition and so on and so forth, people come from all areas of the country. Is there another organization in that?
There are a few other smaller ones. UDA is the biggest, and they have the official, National Dance Team Championships is the one endorsed by the National Federation of High School Athletics. I think that's the name of the organization. I'm not really sure. Right, exactly. Sure. So that's the kind of granddaddy. That's the big one. It's the one that's on ESPN. It's the one everyone is really familiar with.
Yes.
So NDA is it's all owned by the same company, overarching company. But NDA is a smaller national championship, but it's still a great competition, and it has people from all over the country, also in Orlando as well. So I think they are in March. So those are the two big ones.
Give us a snippet of, like, for people. I've never been to a UDA or an NDA nationals competition. I have been to the studio competition environment. I've seen the judges and so on and so forth. How is it very similar? Are you on a stage? Is it? I mean, what does the floor look like? Where are the judges? I mean, what is it?
It's different. It's really different. So with studio teams, they will, have all kinds of routines to compete in a weekend. They may compete as a team. I mean, you may have 20, 30, 40 numbers depending on the size of your team, and they're all broken up into smaller groups, and they have solos and trios and duos and small groups and productions and a whole bunch of different routines, and in a whole bunch of different genres: contemporary, tap, ballet, jazz, musical theater. You name it. There's all kinds of different categories. At nationals, and on a studio team, usually they're on a stage, and the judges, like, if the stage is here, the judges are down here and looking up at them usually, or flat, maybe. With high school teams or middle school teams or whatever, or even college teams, the national championships are in an arena, and they're on the floor. The teams are on the floor, and then the judges are up.
Oh, okay.
And so it is a very different perspective. And we always tell the girls that when you're competing at those championships, there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere. If you're a judge looking up this way, you can't always see what's going on in those back corners.
Sure.
If you're a judge